Welcome back to Coins Hunter USA, the ultimate destination for rare U.S. coin discoveries, hidden treasures, and the exciting stories behind America's forgotten currency. If you're passionate about coin collecting or just curious about the value of the change in your pocket, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're taking a closer look at one of the most iconic and often overlooked coins in U.S. history, the Jefferson nickel, also known as the 5-cent coin. This classic piece has been in circulation for decades, but few people realize just how rare and valuable certain versions can be. Get ready, because you might be holding on to something worth way more than just 5 cents. Stay tuned, coin lovers, you won't want to miss this. Top 1. Today we're turning our attention to a small but mighty coin that could be hiding in plain sight, the 1974 Jefferson nickel from the United States of America. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a nickel, 5 cents, right? But as always in the world of coin collecting, value isn't about what's printed on the face. It's about rarity, condition, minting mistakes, and historical significance, and the 1974 Jefferson nickel is packed with all of that and more. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy this journey through one of the most underrated coins in American history. You won't want to miss the surprise value reveal at the end. Let's dive in. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by artist Felix Schlag, this coin features the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse. His home, Monticello, is depicted on the reverse. The design remained relatively unchanged for decades, and because nickels were made in large quantities, most people don't give them a second thought. But not all nickels are created equal, and the 1974 Jefferson nickel proves that in the most dramatic way. 1974 was a pivotal year in American coinage. It was a time of economic uncertainty, with rising inflation, the oil crisis, and shifting government policies. The mint was pushing to control costs, experimenting with materials, and updating production standards. Amidst all of this change, a handful of nickels left the mint with serious and now highly desirable errors, the kind that make collectors sit up and pay attention. So what exactly should you look for in a 1974 Jefferson nickel? Let's start with mint marks. The 1974 Jefferson nickel was struck at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. The proof versions from San Francisco are already considered collectibles, but it's the regular circulation coins, especially from Philadelphia and Denver, that hold the real surprises. Among these, certain error types make the 1974 Jefferson nickel extremely valuable. One of the most sought after is the double die. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once by misaligned dies, causing noticeable doubling in the text or numbers. A 1974 Jefferson nickel with a strong double die on the date or the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," is considered a major find. The doubling can often be seen clearly with the naked eye or under basic magnification, and if you find one, you could be looking at a seriously valuable coin. Another variation to watch for is the off-center strike. In this error, the design of the coin is not centered, often cutting off parts of the image or lettering. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date is still fully visible. Then there's the full steps Monticello nickel, a term familiar to seasoned collectors. On the reverse of the coin, the Monticello building should show 5 or 6 distinct steps at the base. In most circulation coins, these steps are worn down or poorly struck. But coins with a perfect full steps appearance are incredibly rare for the 1974 issue, and they command a premium at auction. And don't forget planchet errors. These occur when the metal blank used to strike the coin has flaws. Maybe it's the wrong composition, the wrong thickness, or incomplete. A few known examples of the 1974 Jefferson nickel have been struck on the wrong metal planchet altogether. These oddballs are like the holy grail for error coin collectors. Let's talk about condition, too. As with any coin, the better the condition, the higher the value. A well-worn 1974 nickel with no visible errors will only be worth face value. But if you've got a high-grade example, especially one graded MS65 or higher by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, the value jumps significantly. Combine that with an error, and you've got something truly special. And here's the part that makes collectors absolutely thrilled: the market demand. In recent years, rare Jefferson nickels have become one of the hottest segments of the coin market. Why? Because these coins are still relatively affordable to start collecting, but the rare varieties are incredibly valuable. They bridge the gap between everyday pocket change and high-end investment coins. That makes them perfect for new collectors and seasoned veterans alike. Plus, there's something magical about pulling a rare and valuable coin out of everyday circulation. It's like striking gold in your spare change. The thrill of discovery is what drives so many of us in the coin collecting world. And the 1974 Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of why this hobby is so rewarding, and sometimes, so surprisingly profitable. Now let's get to the highlight of the video. The part that makes everyone double-check their change jar. If you're lucky enough to have a 1974 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition with full steps or a major minting error like a strong double die or off-center strike, the market value for this rare gem can soar all the way up to an astonishing $84,000. Yes, you heard that right. $84,000 for a nickel. Just 5 cents. That could be worth more than an entire year's salary for many people. So before you dismiss that old nickel sitting in your drawer, take a second look. Check the date. Look closely at the lettering. Use a magnifying glass if you need to. Because that tiny piece of metal could be your ticket to an unexpected windfall. Top 2. We're taking a close look at the 1975 Jefferson nickel, a coin that many people overlook, yet in the right condition and with the right characteristics, could be worth a jaw-dropping fortune. That's right, this humble 5-cent piece could be your gateway to something incredible, especially if you're a collector, treasure hunter, or just someone who's got a jar of old coins lying around. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy the video, because what we're about to reveal might just inspire you to go searching through your change tonight. Let's begin with some quick background on the Jefferson nickel itself. Introduced in 1938, this series replaced the famous Buffalo nickel and features none other than Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse. On the reverse, you'll find his iconic home, Monticello, proudly displayed in all its neoclassical glory. While the design remained mostly unchanged for decades, not every year's coin was created equally, and 1975 was one of those years where something special happened. So, what makes the 1975 Jefferson nickel so interesting, and potentially so valuable? Well, to the average person, it looks like any other nickel. But collectors and coin experts know there are hidden gems among the coins minted that year. The key to understanding the true worth of a 1975 Jefferson nickel lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and most importantly, errors. Let's break it down. The 1975 Jefferson nickel was struck at 2 major U.S. mints, Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a small d on the right side of Monticello on the reverse. While millions were minted at both locations, not all of them turned out exactly as intended. And that's where the real story begins. Let's talk mint errors, the treasure hunter's favorite words. Point 1. Of the most desirable types of 1975 nickels is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once by a misaligned die, resulting in visible doubling of the text or numbers. Imagine looking at your coin and seeing the words Liberty or the date 1975 slightly repeated or shadowed. That's not damage, that could be a valuable error. Collectors go wild over strong double dies, especially ones visible to the naked eye or under magnification. Another highly sought-after variety is the off-center strike. In this type of error, the coin design is shifted too far in one direction, causing part of the design to be missing. If the date remains visible and the error is significant, let's say 10% to 50% off-center, then the value increases dramatically. These are not coins you see every day. Next, we have the full steps variety, a feature that seasoned nickel collectors obsess over. On the reverse side of the coin, Monticello is shown with a staircase leading up to the entrance. On most coins, these steps are either weakly struck or worn down quickly in circulation. But a full steps Monticello, meaning all 5 or 6 steps are sharply visible without breaks, is exceptionally rare, especially for 1975 nickels. Coins with full steps and high grades, especially from uncirculated rolls, fetch big premiums in the marketplace, but the fun doesn't stop there. There have even been reports of planchet errors, cases where a Jefferson nickel was mistakenly struck on the wrong metal blank. Some were struck on thinner foreign coin planchets or incomplete planchets, making them lighter in weight or slightly smaller in size. These oddballs are so rare that when they show up at auction, collectors battle for them fiercely. So now you might be wondering, how can you tell if you've got one of these treasures in your own collection? First, check for any noticeable errors. Look for doubling in the letters or numbers, an off-center design, or strange coloration or weight. Then examine the Monticello steps under good lighting or magnification. If all the steps are clear and unbroken, you might just have a full step specimen on your hands. And finally, condition is everything. Coins graded MS65 and above, meaning they're in mint state and show no signs of wear, are where the big money starts. The highest valued coins are almost always those kept in pristine condition from the moment they left the mint. So if your 1975 Jefferson nickel has sharp details, a clean surface, and strong luster, it might be worth much, much more than 5 cents. Now, let's get to the moment you've all been waiting for. What's the actual market value of one of these nickels in top condition with rare errors? Well, if you happen to own a 1975 Jefferson nickel with a major minting error, such as a bold double die, a striking off-center error, or even full steps on Monticello, and it's in uncirculated, high-grade condition, then its value could reach an astounding $81,000. Yes, you heard that right. $81,000 for a nickel, imagine that. A 5-cent coin from 1975, likely ignored by millions, could actually be worth more than a luxury car, or even more than some homes in small towns. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not always about gold or silver, sometimes it's the simple things that become the most valuable over time. So, collectors, don't underestimate your change jar. Take a second look at that old coin collection passed down through generations. You never know what treasure might be hiding right under your nose. Top 3. We're talking about the 1979 Jefferson nickel from the United States of America. At first glance, it's a simple 5-cent piece. But the truth is, hidden among the millions of these nickels are rare versions that could be worth thousands, and one of them might be sitting in your very own collection. So sit back, listen closely, and enjoy the journey, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why one of these seemingly ordinary coins could be worth a shocking amount of money, and just how much that is, we'll reveal at the end. Let's begin with a little background. The Jefferson nickel series started way back in 1938, and it's one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The front, or obverse, features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. president and author of the Declaration of Independence. The back, or reverse, proudly displays Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, a symbol of both architectural and national heritage. But let's talk about 1979 specifically. The year 1979 was a time of transition for the U.S. Mint. New technologies were being adopted, minting processes were evolving, and coin production was ramping up to meet economic demand. And it's within that hustle and bustle that mistakes were made, mistakes that now make certain 1979 nickels extremely rare and valuable. The 1979 Jefferson nickel was minted in both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a D on the reverse to the right of Monticello. While the vast majority of these coins were perfectly normal, a small number came out different. And those differences are exactly what we're going to talk about. Point 1. Of the most exciting things that can happen to any coin collector is finding a mint error, and 1979 had its fair share of them. First, let's talk about the famous double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once by misaligned dies, causing parts of the design, like the date, the word Liberty, or In God We Trust, to appear doubled or shadowed. Some 1979 nickels display this clearly, especially under magnification. And collectors are willing to pay big money for strong double die examples, especially if they're in excellent condition. Another type of error found in the 1979 series is the off-center strike. These are coins that weren't aligned correctly in the press, causing the design to be shifted to one side, with part of the coin left blank. If the coin is struck significantly off-center and still shows the date, it becomes even more valuable, because it's clear evidence of a mistake that slipped past quality control. Next, let's talk about something advanced collectors absolutely love: full steps. On the reverse of the nickel, at the base of Monticello, you'll find a staircase. Most coins, especially from the 1970s, have these steps worn down or poorly struck. But a select few 1979 nickels were minted with such precision that all 5 or 6 steps are perfectly visible. These are referred to as full steps Jefferson nickels, and they are rare, especially in uncirculated condition. A 1979 nickel with full steps and no signs of wear can easily skyrocket in value, and let's not forget about planchet errors. These occur when a coin is struck on a defective or incorrect metal blank. Some 1979 nickels were mistakenly struck on the wrong planchet, such as blanks meant for foreign coins or even pennies. These wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most sought-after mistakes, often commanding thousands of dollars at auction. But even without errors, a high-grade 1979 Jefferson nickel in mint state, MS65 or higher, can be worth far more than face value. Why? Because few coins from that year have survived in perfect condition. Most were used, passed around in circulation, and damaged over time. Finding a near-perfect specimen is like uncovering a time capsule, a piece of American history frozen in flawless form. And now, let's talk about the big number, the one you've been waiting for. If you happen to come across a 1979 Jefferson nickel that is in uncirculated condition, has full steps, or contains a rare minting error like a double die or off-center strike, it could be worth an incredible $78,000. Yes, you heard that right. $78,000 for a nickel that once bought a piece of gum. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. So what should you do next? Go through your change jar. Look through old coin rolls. Dig into that drawer full of coins from your childhood or your parents' collection. You never know when a simple nickel could be the key to a life-changing find. Top 4. We're diving into one of the most underrated coins in modern American coinage, the 1984 Jefferson nickel. Now don't let its ordinary appearance fool you. This 5-cent coin might not look like much at first glance, but under the right circumstances, a rare version of this coin can be worth a stunning amount of money. So make yourself comfortable, listen carefully, and stick around till the end, because this story has a very valuable twist that you do not want to miss. Let's start from the beginning. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938. Designed by artist Felix Schlag, the obverse features a strong profile of Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and the 3rd President of the United States. Flip it over, and you'll find his legendary home, Monticello, on the reverse. While the design remained consistent for decades, the quality, detail, and rarity of each year's production has varied. And the year 1984 is a standout for some very specific and exciting reasons. So what makes the 1984 Jefferson nickel more than just another coin in your pocket? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and minting errors, the perfect recipe for turning everyday currency into a collector's dream. Let's talk mints first. In 1984, Jefferson nickels were struck at 2 locations: Philadelphia, which did not use a mint mark at that time, and Denver, which placed a small D mint mark to the right of Monticello. Combined, these mints produced hundreds of millions of nickels that year, but as we know in the coin world, it's not about how many were made. It's about how many survived in exceptional condition or came out of the mint with rare mistakes. Now let's get into the good stuff, the errors and varieties that make the 1984 Jefferson nickel so desirable. Point 1. Of the most talked about errors from this year is the double die obverse. This is a mistake that happens when the coin's design is struck more than once, but not perfectly aligned. The result? You might see noticeable doubling in the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or even in the date 1984. This type of doubling is not wear or damage, it's a minting error, and it makes the coin dramatically more valuable. Strong double die examples are rare, and collectors are always searching for them. Another prized error is the off-center strike. That's when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, and the design ends up shifted to one side. The more off-center it is, and especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. A dramatic off-center 1984 nickel is a standout piece in any error collection. Then we have the clipped planchet error, where a piece of the coin's metal blank was clipped off before striking, resulting in a coin that looks like it has a chunk missing. These are fascinating errors, and when they occur on nickels with visible dates and strong details, they can be worth a surprising amount. Let's not forget the collector favorite, the full steps Jefferson nickel. Look at the Monticello building on the reverse. At its base are steps, 5 or 6, depending on how you count. In most circulated nickels, those steps are barely visible, worn down, or poorly struck. But a coin that shows full steps, sharp, clear, unbroken lines, is incredibly rare, especially for coins from the 1980s. A 1984 nickel with full steps in mint state condition is a true gem, and they are very hard to find today. Now, condition is key. Most nickels from 1984 were used for years in everyday transactions. They passed through hands, got scratched, worn, and dulled. But once in a while, a coin is pulled from circulation right after minting and preserved in perfect, untouched condition. These coins, graded by professionals at levels like MS65, MS66, or even MS67, can sell for hundreds, or even thousands, on their own. Combine that kind of condition with a rare mint error, and the value skyrockets. This is why coin collectors and enthusiasts love the hunt. You never know when a small, forgotten nickel can turn out to be a jackpot hiding in your coin jar. And the 1984 Jefferson nickel is the perfect example of how an ordinary-looking coin can carry an extraordinary price tag. If you know what to look for. So, how much can the rarest 1984 Jefferson nickel sell for? Well, if you're lucky enough to own a 1984 Jefferson nickel with a major minting error, like a bold double die, a dramatic off-center strike, or even a coin with full steps in top condition, then its value could go as high as $75,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $75,000 for a 5-cent coin from 1984. So what does this mean for you? It means your pocket change might be worth more than you think. It means that old coin collection in your attic could be hiding a rare gem. It means the next time you get change at the store, you just might receive something that belongs in a museum, or an auction house. That's the magic of coin collecting, and that's why we love what we do here at Coins Hunter USA. Top 5. We're about to uncover the secrets and surprises hidden inside the 1985 Jefferson nickel from the United States of America. Now listen very carefully, because this little 5-cent coin, often tossed aside or forgotten in drawers and jars, could actually be worth an incredible amount of money if it has certain rare features. And yes, one of these nickels has been known to sell for an astonishing $72,000. But more on that a little later. Let's dive into the fascinating world of the 1985 Jefferson nickel, and why this seemingly ordinary coin is becoming more and more exciting for serious collectors and lucky treasure hunters alike. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, and for decades it carried the same iconic design, Thomas Jefferson's profile on the obverse, and his legendary estate, Monticello, on the reverse. Designed by Felix Schlag, this coin has quietly circulated through millions of hands, wallets, and cash registers across America. But not all nickels are created equal, and the 1985 issue proves it. The 1985 Jefferson nickel was minted at 2 primary locations, the Philadelphia Mint, which in that year began using the P Mint mark, and the Denver Mint, marked by a small d on the reverse to the right of Monticello. Both mints produced these coins in the hundreds of millions, so by raw numbers, the 1985 nickel doesn't seem rare. But the rarity lies not in the quantity, but in the quality and the quirks. Let's talk about what makes some of these coins worth far more than their face value. One of the biggest factors that drives up a coin's value is a minting error, a flaw that occurs during the production process. And the 1985 Jefferson nickel is known to have several fascinating errors that make collectors go wild. The first to watch out for is the double die obverse. This error occurs when the coin is struck more than once by a die that's slightly misaligned, causing elements of the design, such as the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, to appear doubled or shadowed. The stronger and more visible the doubling, the higher the value. A 1985 nickel with this kind of doubling is extremely collectible and gets snapped up fast at auctions and coin shows. Another error that makes a 1985 nickel highly desirable is the off-center strike. If the coin's design isn't centered correctly, you may see part of the image missing and a crescent-shaped blank space on the edge of the coin. The more off-center it is, especially if the date is still fully visible, the more valuable it becomes. These coins are a dream for error collectors because they're obvious, dramatic, and rare. And then there are the clipped planchets, coins that are missing a piece due to a defect in the metal blank before it was struck. These types of errors on a 1985 Jefferson nickel can command serious attention, especially when paired with strong design elements and good condition, but perhaps the most coveted variety of all for the Jefferson nickel is what collectors call the full steps nickel. Let's break this down. If you look at the Monticello building on the back of the coin, you'll see a series of steps leading up to the entrance. Most circulated coins have worn or poorly struck steps that blend together. But if the steps are clearly defined, with 5 or 6 distinct, unbroken lines visible under magnification, then you've got what's called a full steps Jefferson nickel, and that's where things get exciting. Finding a 1985 Jefferson nickel with full steps in uncirculated, mint state condition is extremely rare. It means the coin was struck perfectly and preserved immediately, without ever entering circulation. These coins are highly prized, and when combined with a high grade, like MS65 or above, they can sell for thousands, even tens of thousands. Now, think about the odds. Out of hundreds of millions of nickels made in 1985, only a tiny fraction remain in pristine condition. And of those, only a few exhibit full steps. And if you're lucky enough to find one with a minting error, like a double die or off-center strike, then the value multiplies even more. It's these rare combinations, mint condition, full steps, and mint errors, that transform an ordinary nickel into something absolutely extraordinary. So here's the $1 million, or rather, 5-cent, question. How much is one of these rare 1985 Jefferson nickels actually worth today? If you happen to have a 1985 Jefferson nickel with a strong double die, a dramatic off-center strike, or perfectly defined full steps, and it's been professionally graded in uncirculated condition, its value could reach an eye-popping $72,000. Yes, you heard that right, $72,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't even look at twice. That's why collectors and coin hunters around the country are going through their old change, checking coin rolls from the bank, and digging through inherited collections. Because that little nickel hiding in the bottom of a coin jar might just be worth more than your car, or even your college tuition. So what should you do? Check your 1985 Jefferson nickels closely. Use a magnifying glass to examine the date, the letters, and those Monticello steps. Look for doubling, off-center designs, or signs of a clipped planchet. And most importantly, if your coin appears uncirculated or nearly perfect, consider having it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That small investment could turn into a massive payday. Thanks for joining us today on Coins Hunter USA. If this video sparked your curiosity, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into America's rarest coins. We've got plenty more treasures to uncover together. Until next time, happy hunting, and never underestimate the value of a nickel. Your next big discovery could be right in your pocket.